So I've had quite a few questions just around the higher time frame process as well as my confirmations and what I'm looking for when I'm taking the trades. So I'm gonna run through today's price action on ES. Some nice longs that played out today. I personally didn't take any trades today, um, but just great to once again just come back and see how these play out. So the first thing that I'm looking for on the higher time frame is I am doing the following. So I'm using Heiken Ashi candles, and the reason for that is because they look at the average price, and then based on that, they form the candles, and it just gives a little bit of a smoother look to determine direction. So how I'm using it is I'm using Bollinger Bands, as well as the SMA, which I've set to the length 2 and the source open. And then basically what I'm doing is I'm wanting to see price close inside of this SMA and hold the direction, to give me a directional bias for longs or shorts. So coming into the day, I have seen that price has closed inside of the SMA, so I'm expecting longs, and I'm using the 12 hours so as to split the day into two parts. So if I see in the start of the day price is closed inside, then I know that the second 12-hour candle is highly likely to take out that high of the previous 12-hour at least. But I've also then using the Bollinger Bands as targets. So when price rejects off the low Bollinger Band, closes inside the SMA, I know that the next target is the middle Bollinger Band at least. And then I've got an indicator called the master pattern. This basically just plots value lines on the chart that also become sensitive areas where price either trades towards or bounces off. So with that in mind, I know that my bias coming to the day is long. Okay. So on the 4 hour, I am looking to take trades from V levels. Um, and the V levels are based on what the line chart shows us. So if I look at the line chart, these are all V levels over here. Um, that's a V level. That's a V level. This is a V level. Some in Malaysian SNR are taking the A levels. Once it breaks, they will use it as resistance becoming support. I don't do that. I personally just use V levels for support and A levels for resistance. So I'm not looking to take buys from V levels. I'm not taking buys from A levels, excuse me. I'm only taking buys from V levels. And so when price, uh, I'm not going to replay the chart. Let's try to replay. So when price comes to the V level, right, we are expecting longs to take place. And the second thing that I'm looking at on the 4 hours, I've got a weekly developing profile. So I've tagged it on the first candle of the week on the 4 hour. And then I'm looking for low volume nodes on the profile. And it just so happens that this is a low volume node area. And this is a low volume node area over here. And actually, this whole area is a low volume node. But what's nice to see is that it overlaps with my V levels, which is an extra confluence to know, okay, these are the V levels that are most likely to propel price to the upside. So once I've got that down, I'm going on to the 5 minute or the 1 minute. You can decide based on your schedule and how much time you have at the chart. For this example, let's use the 5 minute. Go down onto the 5 minute. And what I'm now looking for is I'm basically looking for I'm looking for the low volume nodes of the day, right? So this plots the previous day's low volume nodes today. So these black lines are low volume nodes from the previous day, which also aligns with SNR levels from the 4 hour as well as the low volume nodes on the weekly developing profile, which is really, really helpful. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the small absorptions. I've just got the medium and high and bigger absorptions taking place. And how I'm using this for entries is I'm basically asking myself the question. I've said this before. I'm asking myself the question: who gets trapped and who gets rewarded? So there's two scenarios that I'm looking for when taking a buy. The first scenario I'm looking for is either a big buyer steps in at the SNR level, aligned with my low volume nodes, right? So we've got confluences. This is the heat map that we took, looking to take the long from. So when a big buyer steps in, as shown here by this white dot, let's just turn this off. This white bubble signifies there's a big buy order taking place. So in order for me to take the long, I am asking myself the question, does this buyer's effort get rewarded? And what that would mean is that the price would close above that buyer, signifying that that buyer's effort has been rewarded. That's the one way that I'm looking to take the trade. The second way that I'm looking to take the trade is either a seller gets trapped. A seller steps in with a big order and they get trapped in the wick. So imagine this being the bearish candle over here with a long wick. Um, this is not going to work. But imagine there was a long wick over here, a big seller steps in, and price closes above that seller. It means that the seller has gone short and price has reversed and buyers have stepped in. I'm not going to get into all the mechanics of how the auction market theory takes place and the absorption takes place. I'm trying to simplify it. All I'm looking for is bubbles. White bubbles signify big buyers stepping in. Dark gray bubbles represent big sellers stepping in. And then I'm just asking, does the effort get rewarded? In this case, this buyer's effort gets rewarded by this candle closing above. And this is my entry. And now my target is the previous 12 hours high, which is over there, right? Now we see that this is an example of a seller stepping in. Seller stepping in, price closes above. You could take that as another entry. Stop goes below. Target the same place. Okay, that one gets tagged out. Here's another instance where a seller gets trapped. You take that entry. If you want to be aggressive, I'm happy to just take the one entry. Now you're targeting the previous 12 hours high. But if you understand where price could potentially go, then you can hold this trade to the middle Bollinger Band of the 12 hours. So actual targets are up here. And now this is where we increase our risk to reward dramatically. Okay. So that's where the middle Bollinger Band sits. This is a 15R trade, 15R trade, 30R trade. Let's see how it plays out. I think we all know where the way this goes. We're still in. We're still in. Bang. That's TP. Right? There's your 30R for the day. You can be done there. And I'm going to show you the short because there was another short that also took place. So if we go back onto the 4 hour, where are we on? Let's just do this. Where are we on? Extra stuff off. Okay, where are we on the 12 hour? We are hitting the middle Bollinger Band area, right? So we can expect a rejection from that. So what coincides with that? Let's check our weekly profile. There's a low volume node. There's an SNR level. Okay, go down onto the 1 minute, 5 minute. Now with this trade, we did not have a low volume node on the profile of the day. Previous day's low volume node we didn't have. But what you could have done is you could have just looked at the absorption. In this way, here you get a big seller stepping in, he gets rewarded with the close of this candle. That's your entry. Stop loss above the seller. And now you're taking the short. If you wanted to take this on the 1 minute, you could increase your risk to reward by doing the following. Price taps the SNR level. There's your entry. But a seller steps in, gets rewarded with the close of that candle. This is the trade. But remember, we are still bullish on the 12-hour. So this could be short-lived depending on what price wants to do after. If the rejection is confirmed over here, then the next 12-hour could possibly be a bearish candle that's going to go continue down. But I mean, there's a 6R trade that you could have taken if you had just, let's see, you could have just targeted the previous A levels, or even just this V level could be your target over there, because remember, if we are looking for buyers, we're looking for V levels. So you could have gotten out there. There's a quick 6R trade. And I know a lot of people trade gold, so I'm quickly going to do a gold demonstration because this is ES. So I use GC, I use the futures charts because um, the data that gets shared from the CME group is the most accurate, and I prefer to trust that rather than um, broker um, broker charts. So coming here, we have the 12-hour that's still showing bearish. Price is below the SMA. Okay, the only thing that I'm wary of on gold is we are hitting the low Bollinger Band. We've seen multiple rejections. Here's a master pattern value line where you've seen prices rejected 3 times. So I am pretty sure that at some point we are going to see a reversal on gold. So that's why I didn't take a short on gold today, but I'll show you what you could have done and how this trade could have played out. And yeah, it's powerful. So once again, coming to the 4-hour, looking for shorts. First thing that we're going to do, we're going to plot our volume profile for the week. Okay. It looks very, very smooth. Now we're going to target, we're going to show our low volume nodes. There's a low volume node. Okay. These are all low volume node areas. It's a bit subjective, I know, but you can just go do some research on low volume nodes. These are clear drop off areas where there's low volume. Now, all I'm doing is I'm mapping it out according to SNR levels. So this is a very, very nice level. You can see the low volume node aligning with the SNR level. And so we can see their price taps. Let's go into the 1 minute. And check the 5 minute as well. You would have had a bigger stop loss. So the 1 minute is really nice to enter. The only thing is the 1 minute you might get fake out and you might get a couple of stop losses before you get the actual trade going. But look at this entry. Beautiful. Tap into the SNR level. A buyer steps in at that level and gets trapped because price closes below. That's your entry. Stop loss above that high. And now our targets are on the 4-hour and ultimately on the 12-hour. So on the 4-hour, you could target the previous 4-hour candle low where we have already gone. That's 18R. Or you can target the previous 12-hour lows, and I'm expecting this low to go. So that's the ultimate target over here. But like I said, I am wary because we are rejecting off the value line. So yeah, this is quite risky. You could have taken out profits at that value line. So that's your trade over there. Let's see what that was. That was the trade on gold. 21R. Simple, simple, simple trades. Simple trades using the power of volume profile, SNR levels, as well as the higher time frame strength of the 12 hour into the 4 hour into the 1 minute or the 5 minute. It's really, really powerful to do this. And yeah, very, very nice.